Hey everyone, and welcome to this 10th tutorial on CSS3. In this video I'm going to show you about the float property of CSS. It's pretty straightforward and you can do some quite cool stuff with it. So I've written out a simple style sheet and HTML page. As you can see, as we've already seen, head tag, body tag. We've got 4 divs, each with some text on and each with their own class. All the divs have these properties because we've got these class separated by commas. We've already seen all this. This is just a recap. So the div is assigned a height of 200 pixels. The text is going to be center. I don't need that property in there. The font family is Courier New, just because it's a cool font. And then we've got a border width of 1 pixel. And then each box has its own border color, so that each one will look slightly different. So if I save that, come to my browser and refresh, you'll see we've got our 4 divs. Well, the first thing you notice is even though we haven't actually set the width yet, I've just written it in text, the width by default is 100% of the containing element. So in this case, 100% of the screen. Of course, if I had all these in a div, which just took up 50% of the screen, then these would just take up 50% of the screen. So the first thing I'm going to do is set the width of these divs to 200 pixels, so they won't be square. Right, now the next thing you notice is each div is one on top of the other, even though we haven't actually put line breaks in. Now this is where float comes in. If I put in the property float and then left, this will mean that all divs will float to the left of the screen and take up the available space. So you'll see that we've now got them all in a line. Now as they're touching and that doesn't look so good, I'm just going to put in a margin of, say, 5 pixels. And I've got a bit of space in between them, which looks a bit neater. Now if I zoom in, what you'll notice is that they fill up the available space. So now I've got 2 boxes on each thing. If I zoom in further, I've just got 1 box on each row. So the float property can be used to make responsive web pages. Now if I increase the one div's width to maybe double the width, so this is for box 2, you will see that it still works fine, as we'd expect. It takes up the remaining amount of the screen space. Now, if we do want to have these no longer on the same line, say we want this last one to be on the last line, on a separate line, we can do clear left. And what this does is it puts a line break in, basically. I meant to do it on the last box, didn't I? It puts a line break in so that it'll always be cleared from that element onwards, like that. So that's all straightforward, nothing too complicated there. Now one problem you can have with CSS float is if these are in a parent element, the parent immediately loses its height when we start using float properties inside it. And that doesn't matter if we haven't got a background color or anything on our parent, but if we have, then it can cause a bit of a problem. So I'm just going to show you how we can fix that problem by giving this a class of, let's call it parent. Might help if I spell background correctly. I'm just going to give these divs a background of white, so that we can see them properly. Refresh, and oh, I didn't save that. So you can see we've got no change here. That is because our parent has got no height. It's lost its height, so there's nothing actually to display. So I'm going to show you how we can fix this problem. With the property that we've just looked at, create a new div at the bottom of all your others, and give it a class. You can call it whatever you like. I'm going to call mine clear, and then in your CSS, type in clear both, and what that will do is it'll basically clear off this extra space from the float element. So if we then come to here and refresh, we'll see we've now got a background color and everything is working well. So yep, that's an introduction to CSS floats. I hope that was helpful, and if it was, subscribe to my channel.